This is perhaps my favourite gospel story, if we're allowed to have favourites. Now, why should that be? Why should this story be more attractive, gripping, convincing than the other appearances to Mary Magdalene, to Thomas, to the disciples who had gone fishing? It has drama in it. It's almost like a fairy story. The disguised stranger who meets someone who is despondent or lost and who opens up a new world, a new direction, and transforms the lives of those he meets. It's a favourite with artists, and I've given you 4 pictures. Sometimes the artists focus on the journey itself. Jesus and the 2 disciples are dressed as if they were pilgrims. Cleopas asks the stranger, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened in these days?" Obviously, any visitors to Jerusalem at that time of year would be pilgrims coming for the Passover. Of course, as we listen to the narrative, we have the advantage of the 2 disciples. We know that it is Jesus who is drawing near to them. Many of the best stories, and this is another reason why it's such a good story, many of the best stories bring the listener into the secret before the participants know what is going on. Our superior knowledge leaves us free to notice the effect, in this case on the disciples. Another way in which this works so well, precisely as a story. So the artists we have today have focused on the moment of recognition. The most dramatic one, the Caravaggio from the National Gallery, where the elbow of one of the disciples apparently sticks out of the surface of the picture. You should all be looking at the picture at this point, not at me. So the elbow on the left-hand side picks out. The 2 outstretched arms of the other disciple, again, almost go right into, behind the canvas and out of the canvas towards us. Below, the one on the left is pushing back his chair. We can almost see the tension in his elbows as he moves and squeaks his chair back. The most modern picture in the collection is the one below that, by Kerry Richards. Once again, the disciple with his back to us is almost falling off his chair in his surprise. I'm sorry about the reproduction, it's not perfect, but the other disciple on the right has his hands to his chin and his eyes half open, just on the point of recognizing that this really is the Lord. The 2 disciples are not quite in sync. One is just a second ahead in his leap of faith. But the whole story really is told in the gestures of the people involved. On the other side, the Rembrandt from the Louvre, again, there's one person on the left with his chair pushing back, hands to his chin, and the other one on the right just looking in amazement. Meanwhile, the serving boy, imagine going to a restaurant and while you're chatting away with your friends, a waiter is just trying to find a place to put that extra dish. That's all that servant is doing. He hasn't seen. He hasn't got the gift of faith like the other 2 have and as we have. And then the one at the bottom, which is most extraordinary, where Rembrandt is attempting the impossible, showing the exact split second when Jesus disappears, just at the moment of recognition. It's very strange. How do we portray a sudden disappearance? How do we portray the resurrection anyway? We talked about that last Sunday in relation to Thomas. This story retains the ability to surprise. I remember one year when comparing the 2 translations of the story, the translation we had today said Emmaus was about 7 miles from Jerusalem. There's another translation which says about 2 hours' walk from Jerusalem. And I was taken aback. Suddenly realized the world may have changed in so many ways since those 2 went on their sad walk together. But 2,000 years later, it still takes roughly 2 hours to walk 7 miles. Nothing has changed. The practice encouraged in some retreat houses and schools of spiritual practice is to go on an Emmaus walk. There may be a whole group of people then, present at the retreat, they're encouraged to go off in twos on an Emmaus walk, walking and talking, as if Jesus had joined them, or was joining them on this walk, which of course he has, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name. The 2 go back to the others and tell them what had happened to them on the road. That's from the Gospel. The 2 people nowadays who go on an Emmaus walk also can come back to the community of the faithful and say what has happened to them. So whether it's a walk during a retreat or our complete journey through life in our pilgrimage towards our heavenly home. The story has attracted so many different interpretations and commentaries. For instance, some people say that when Jesus lifted the bread to bless it, then the disciples saw the mark of the nails, and that's what made them recognize him. Another version, favoured by church musicians, is that Jesus, like any other Jew at this time, would have sung the blessing, and it was his singing voice that they recognized. Doesn't matter what the different interpretations. Another one, ever so radical, are you prepared for this? That suggests that only one is named, Cleopas. Perhaps the other one was Cleopas's wife. How about that? A man and a woman witnessing. Sorry to upset you. At the heart of the story is a celebration of Jesus' presence among us, particularly in the Eucharist, the Word, and the Sacrament. The disciples recognized him in the breaking of the bread, but they had also had the immense privilege of him breaking the Word for them in that lost sermon, which made their hearts burn within them.